Hey, welcome back to the Handy Randy Show. We do car stuff, or train stuff, or boat stuff, or what else do we do here?
Dogs.
Dogs?
Cats.
Cats? I don't think I've ever done a dog or a
And on
cat
Sundays
show.
we're going to start doing fish.
Although we've had the dog and the cat on the show before.
Yes.
There was one time that my cat, ever since she was a kitten, when she was just a little feral thing running around the warehouse, she loves to get up on the computer and walk across the keyboard.
Yes.
And she still, to this day,
She sends messages.
I think she has a secret friend.
Yes.
She emails to.
Yes.
And then when I'm trying to put shows together, and edit shows and put music in and audio and all that, she gets up and she screams at me.
Maybe she's trying to correct your spelling.
That could be. Maybe sometimes I get some words wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or some names of streets wrong.
Street names wrong, like.
Occasionally I do that. As a matter of fact, the last show that we did, I was corrected after the show was all the way over. I couldn't do anything about it then, that I had named a street incorrectly. Imagine me doing something like that.
I couldn't imagine.
Couldn't imagine that.
I couldn't imagine that.
So anyway, I thought, well, why didn't anybody correct me? And Nancy said, well, I went like that. And I said, well, I thought you meant I was a loser.
But
What would you think if somebody did that
she
to you?
figured you already knew that.
Well, that was supposed to be the first letter of the name of the street. Now, I'm supposed to figure that out on the fly.
Well, I got to be honest, I wouldn't have known that myself.
Right.
Because I never did know what that meant. Highway to heaven, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, well, you don't have to worry too much about that.
What?
Highway to heaven. Anyway, or you maybe want to start thinking about finding a highway to heaven.
Studebaker heaven. I was going to go ahead and heaven in one of them Studebakers. Probably a bullet nose.
We were at the Military and Aviation Preservation Society. That's a mouthful.
Yes.
Fortunately, they've shortened it down to a shorter nickname, which is the Maps Museum.
Yeah. It's easier to spell,
Much
pronounce.
easier.
Yeah.
Maps Museum. So from this point forward, when we mention the Maps Museum, you know that stands for that other thing, Military Aviation Preservation Society. So it's a great place. It's been around for maybe 20, 30 years now.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's growing rapidly. The staff now is just a bunch of remarkable people, men and women. Some of them, believe it or not, still active even though they served in World War II. They're still active at the museum. Now that puts their ages in the
90s.
got to be late 80s, because World War II was 70 years ago. So, if they were a teenager, that puts them in the late 80s, but most of them would be in their 90s.
Yes.
Still actively involved at the museum. One of the people that was at this, there was a car show that Don Sitz put on. One of the fellows that was there participating and helping out, a volunteer at the Maps, flew P-51 and P-40s during the war and actually shot down 4 enemy airplanes.
Really?
2 was a P-51, 2 was a P-40, and they told me the story about this guy. It's, wow, what a hero. Wow, what a hero. And some of the things that he did was shot down, it was in the ocean, was picked up by rescued, and whoa, just great stories. So anyway, if you have an opportunity to go to the Maps Museum, which is on Massillon Road, adjacent to Akron-Canton Airport, you can find these veterans there working and restoring the planes. They've added some new planes this year. It's actually, if you go outside, there's planes everywhere, all kinds. Vietnam-era planes, Korean War planes, World War II planes, all the way back to the earliest gliders, all there at the museum. And then you go to the adjacent part of the museum, then they have a room of heroes that have a lot of the past heroes from our area that recognizes them and some of the wonderful and brave things that they've done, all the way up, again, all the way back to World War I stuff, all the way through the modern era, all in that back room that's worth the price of admission just to see that back room.
My uncle's one of those, but they haven't got his stuff up yet.
Is that right? Mm-hmm. Cool stuff. They have the Kaiser Wilhelm helmets. Nurse Nancy's relatives.
I thought she was going to tell
from
me she
Germany.
has one.
No, she doesn't have a helmet, but I'm sure her relatives wore those back in World War II. My lovely wife, Nurse Nancy, is German.
Now I know why she's
German.
Now I know why she's falling downstairs and stuff. Huh?
Yeah, well, she's German. Now that would be Polish.
Polish?
Yeah, like your wife. Anyway, that's takes place at the Maps Museum. Why don't we go there for a few minutes and do a little bit of walk around, and instead of listening to me and looking at you?
Yeah. Well, you know.
Wouldn't that be better? I think it'd be better. Let's go and take a look at a few minutes of the Maps Museum Don Sitz car show and museum show that was held just last week. Watch. Just south of the city of Greene on Maslin Road, that's the Maslin Road exit on Interstate 77, which is located between Akron and Canton. Head south on Maslin Road till you see the P-51 on the pedestal. That's the entrance to the Maps Museum. Military and Aviation Preservation Society. It's a wonderful museum with a terrific group of volunteers that are busily restoring old birds from early flight up to even some birds that are presently in the air. Nice Corvette, huh? I heard my friend Ron Salmon helping people park. Don Sitz of Don Sitz Auto Sales in Cuyahoga Falls sponsors this each year. So his volunteers come down and put on the car show. And then the volunteers from the Maps Museum also participate, fundraiser for the museum. Overcast day, but a terrific turnout. As you can see, all makes and models welcome. Thought I would play some Glenn Miller. Hey, there's Don Sitz on the left, and John Shapiro from Cruising Times Magazine. A couple handsome young men. Well, not handsome, okay. Well, okay, not so young. Nice old Mercury Woody. Take a look at some of the cars. Now, not only, there's John Shapiro's got his camera out filming. Not only is this a car show, cruising, but, hi Mom, it's also a tour of the museum. And they've got a whole bunch of aircraft parked outside as well, as you'll see in a bit. You'll see every type of vehicle at this show each year. got to talk to the director of the Map Museum. He's got some wonderful stories of the goings on, and they just have acquired a couple new planes that they're working on, one of them being an F-84. They have volunteers that flew in, believe it or not, some of the volunteers flew in World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and even Desert Storm in the newer wars. But the great stories of some of these veterans. That's a nice old Pontiac, and the guy's done some accent work on it to make it even more special. As you can see, it was pretty overcast that day, and in spite of the threat of rain, people turned out. It was really a great turnout and a great fundraiser. If you see Don Setz, make sure that you tell him and his crew, thank you so much for putting this on to help with the fundraiser for the Maps Museum. Now, guess what this kind of car is? See that? That's a Willys logo. Pretty cool, huh? We're listening to the Glenn Miller Band. Glenn Miller was best known. There's another Willys logo, by the way. Glenn Miller was best known for his swing music of the late 30s and 40s. He signed up and went into the armed forces as the director of the Army Air Corps Band. And of course, the old fogies did not want the band to play swing music. You know, they were real happy with John Philip Sousa. So he fought with a lot of the old brass over the type of music that the bands were playing. But guess what the GIs wanted to hear in World War II? You got it. They wanted to hear music like this. And Glenn Miller, unfortunately, took off in a small airplane out of the United Kingdom on the way to France to direct the band for our GIs serving in France. And unfortunately, that plane disappeared. They speculated it crashed in the ocean, but to this day it's a mystery as to what happened to Glenn Miller. But when he passed away, there's my friend Les's pickup truck. It's got one of everything on the hood. Akron Airport, model of the Akron Airport, model of the Akron Air Show, and even a handy Randy stage. Thanks, Les. Pretty cool. Anyway, back to the Glenn Miller. They say that when Glenn Miller passed away, that was the beginning of the end of the swing era of bands, and probably was. I know. Hi, how you doing? Let's take an opportunity to watch or listen. Hey, welcome back, Handy Randy, Don Morgan. We're talking about the Maps Museum. In the middle of the Maps Museum show, and Don Sitz puts it on. Great guy.
Yes, wonderful.
Participates in a lot of car stuff.
He's in everything.
He is. And he's got a wonderful dealership in Cuyahoga Falls. Mm-hmm. And he has a whole fleet of very cool cars for sale.
It's bigger than some new car dealerships. It's a used car, and I thought he had a new car dealership along with this.
Along with the whole fleet of custom cars. If you wanted to get into this fun thing, you could go and buy a car from him.
He's also got some classic cars too for sale.
That's what I'm just talking about.
Oh.
You're not paying any attention to me? Anyway, Don Sitz, he's located in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio. Look him up. Actually, he has a web page. He has currently listed some of the vehicles that he has there at the dealership. And he participates in a Monday night show that's held on the Riverfront Mall in Cuyahoga Falls. Why don't you invite him to your show at Summit Racing?
Who's that?
You don't like him? Why don't you invite Don Sitz
Well, he's welcome
to bring
to come.
a orphan car to your car show?
Does he own an orphan car?
Well, a Plymouth. I think he has Plymouth. That's an orphan.
Yeah,
Does he have Pontiacs? Yes, he has Pontiacs.
probably does. He probably
That's
does.
an orphan.
Well, he might have a few of them too. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
He could bring one. Sure.
Because they don't, Pontiacs are orphans now.
That's right.
But you kind of are something about orphans you don't like.
Because it's an independent car show. Independent and orphans for 9,000th time is totally different two ball games. But if anybody wants to bring an orphan or even a big three, they can, but they have to park in a separate parking lot.
So, a poor little orphan that its parents cast them to the side.
Go make me cry.
And like little orphan Annie.
Oh.
And you take them and just cast them on the side. You're all the way in the back. That's the way you treat orphans.
Well, what did the big three do to poor old Studebaker Nash and them other cars?
I'm talking about orphans here. I'm talking about orphans. Don't try to change the subject here. And other orphans.
You could get a little tear in your eye once in a while.
Other orphans, Mercury's.
Mercury's.
That's an orphan.
It's an orphan.
Oldsmobile.
Oldsmobile.
442s.
Ooh.
They're not welcome,
They're welcome.
but they have to park in the back.
No, they don't have to park in the back. Summit Racing has a new parking lot there now, and there's plenty of parking without sending someone back in the woods.
Now, I go to the orphan car show in Michigan,
Yes.
and they have Studebakers and Hudsons there, and they're called orphans.
Well, no.
They're wrong, and you're right.
Well, they know they're wrong.
Independence.
Independence.
Now, your show is primarily for independence then, and you'll put up with the orphans.
Well, there's a difference between ours and the Mission one.
Ours is
Our independent show is bigger than their orphan show with all the other Plymouths and Dodges.
Is it? Mm-hmm. So
they get 35, 40 Studebakers.
Yeah.
We get 100 or better Studebakers, or 140 or 50.
Because it's a Studebaker show. Studebaker Packard.
Well, it's a big Studebaker chapter up there.
But I guess the emphasis is this year's independence. We want to try to bring more and more. I was at the Maps Museum. We're in the middle of that show, and a guy had a Crosley there.
Yes.
Now, is that an independent or an orphan?
It's an independent.
It's going to be an orphan too.
No, it can't.
Their parents died, went away, and they're left alone.
Okay. His parents died when he was young.
So therefore, they're an orphan.
Poor little car.
Poor little orphan car.
Poor little car, orphan car. Parents died, and Grandma and Grandpa had to bring him home. So in that case, he's an independent now. So he's an independent orphan. Does that make you happy?
Independent orphan, thank you. It's like a Studebaker is kind of an independent orphan.
No.
I thought we had this clear. All right, so
we can drag this out for years.
Well, you're never going to win this argument.
You're never going to win either.
Now, your show, which is in August
27th.
at Summit Racing,
yes.
Exit 31 on Interstate 76. It starts sometime in the morning and it's over sometime in the afternoon.
Starts at 11 a.m. and it's over at 5 p.m. or...
And it costs like $40?
It costs nothing.
What do you mean it costs nothing?
Nothing.
How can you do a car show for free?
Well, we do. Our club picks up the expenses.
What club?
The Studebaker Club.
I thought it was an independent car
It is
show.
the independent club, but our club funds it.
Is this sort of like the Abbott and Costello routine?
No.
Is it sort of like that?
No. Members, audience, he is a member of the Studebaker Club. He likes tripping my trigger all the time. By the way, if you come to the show, we have hats like this on sale for like $10 to $12, depending on the cost. What happened? There we go. We're back. The cost of, at the time, pick them up. I have a new order shipping, and I even ordered a couple pink ones this year for the ladies that were asking for them last year. They wanted pink, so I ordered some. Best bring some money for the pink ones.
Same money?
Uh-oh.
Same money?
Same money. I don't price.
Can I buy a pink one too?
Oh, you can.
Okay.
Sometimes you might look cuter in a pink one. Anyhow, this is the flyer for the show. And it's for August 22nd. Starts at 11 o'clock. It's the 23rd year that I put this show on.
No, but
I'm getting older.
23rd year. It's at Summit Racing. What's the date? 22nd of August?
22nd, the 23rd year. And we have, this is our last year's shirt, and we also have new ones on order right now that I designed, and the guy's working on the lovely artwork he does.
You designed it?
Yes, I designed it. I designed every one.
You did the whole layout and everything?
No, I tell him the cars that I want on the shirt.
The t-shirt company didn't have anything to do with it?
He makes the pattern blueprint. I tell him what colors to use, what I want on the shirts for the front. I tell him what I want on the back, the sponsors that goes on the back. We do have 4 or 5 sponsors, small ones. And that's it.
And what about Packers?
The same way with this.
What about Packers? It's not all about Studebakers.
That's right, Packards too. Packard was, and Studebaker merged in 1954. And until Packard closed up in 1958.
They became orphans then.
So anyhow.
So the Packers, there's quite a few Packers that show up with this.
About 35, 40. Last year was a little less for whatever reason. But we usually get, the last few years, between 105 and 125, 130. At one time, we got 186 Studebakers, but people, due to nutrition and people passing away and
club members are getting older.
passing away, older, they can't drive no more. Of course, I've asked for volunteers to drive some of them. And I'm in the process of buying another Studebaker.
But you don't have to have a Packard or a Studebaker or independent.
You don't even have to have a car if you don't want to.
You're welcome to come. Now, I will be there filming this event.
Right.
Now, the TV side that we play here on community television, and we also play on YouTube. Mm-hmm. I can't do the radio show from there. I could maybe tape some interviews and play the interviews on the radio show.
That's cool.
Which is, do you know about my radio show?
Yeah.
What's it called?
Karma Radio.
That's pretty good. You remembered that. I haven't reminded you.
K-A-R-M-A.
Wrong.
K-R-A-M-A.
Karma. K-R-M-A Radio.
But I haven't been allowed to be on the last few weeks.
You've been out of town.
Well, you know, some of us has got a life.
Right. So Tuesday nights at 8 o'clock. So what I could do is I could do some interviews, and I could play those interviews on the radio show.
That sounds
like
good.
Do that.
Yeah.
And you know what? The nice thing about that is we don't care what you look like. You could be picking your ear while you're doing the interview if you want to. You pick your ear if you want to. That's not appropriate to do here on television. I was just using an example.
Not appropriate to do on radio either.
You could do it on the radio, but nobody would know.
It might be one of them big hickeys and hit the floor. Boom.
That's picking your nose.
Well, it's picking your ear.
You could pick your nose or pick your friend's nose on the radio too. You could wear your polka dot underwear on the radio show.
It's not advisable.
And nobody would see. Nobody would care.
I would if I'm there.
You could show up in your Depends if you wanted to.
Nah. I'll have to get sick and go home.
Karma Radio.
Karma Radio. Karma Radio.
Internet live radio.
Yes.
Karma Radio.
Yes.
It's on Tuesday nights at 8 o'clock.
Tuesday nights at 8 o'clock.
And we do music. We do music trivia, and we do car stuff.
Tell them how to get onto it.
Karma Radio. KRMA radio.com on the internet.
And then it'll come up, then you got to hit a button, right?
Yeah, to play.
To play. There's a little button there to hit the play.
Push Android or Apple.
Yeah, whatever it is. Sometimes it's an Apple Pair or whatever, but hit the button and the show will come on. And luckily, you won't see his face. You'll just hear his voice.
Right.
And his voice doesn't sound the same.
And I'm much better looking on radio.
Much better. Yeah.
So that's Karma Radio, and we do that every Tuesday night. So if you don't have enough of Handy Randy or Don Morgan on the internet or on TV, are you?
Again, if you want to come to the Studebaker Show, you don't have to
Talk to me.
talk to him or me. If you want to bring your car, classic car, if you have one, fine. If you don't have one and you just want to come, we love those too. We get lots of people come just to see the cars, hundreds of them.
And they get to see your wife, Vivian.
They get to see my wife.
She's always there.
She's always there.
And you can give her a hug and say, "You poor thing."
And it's a family
Poor
show.
thing.
If you want to bring your grandkids, grandpa, grandma, maybe they'll see their Studebakers. Sometimes there's people come that bring their parents, and the parents say they come up and talk about how
They had a Studebaker.
they had actually more people come than what probably was made in Studebakers.
Because
It's a
they're-
joke, but
because they're orphan cars. And, by the way, we got off the subject. We were at the Maps Museum,
yes.
and somehow you took me from Stark County, Ohio.
You nodded your head.
Took me over to Summit Racing.
Oh, wait, but time out. You said when you last time you cut the air off that you wanted me to do this.
I didn't never say
I
that.
said.
You wanted to
And
do
you
it.
nodded your head.
I said, I was just being nice.
And that was being, that means yes to me. Now, her finger symbols, you understood those, kind of.
Yeah, the L for loser, and the other one for number one.
Yeah.
I think. Might
I'm
have been
done.
number one. So anyway, August the 22nd, Summit Racing, Interstate 76, exit 31, from sometime in the morning to sometime in the evening,
11 o'clock it starts.
11 o'clock. And let's go back for the conclusion of the Military and Aviation Preservation Society, also known as MAPS. And they had every kind of car there, including Studebakers, including Packards, including Crosleys, and mostly, and most important, a lot of orphan cars.
And some of Volkswagens, too.
Volkswagens.
Yeah.
A lot of orphan cars,
Yeah.
like Studebakers. Watch. I snuck that in. That old Ford would have been around in World War II, but not this Chevy. Chevy would have been around in the Korean War, but not this other one. Thunderbird around the Vietnam War, but not that Buick. Are we having fun with this? Which war would these cars have been driven in? This Ford? World War II. A little bit late for World War I. I don't know if we'll see any World War I vehicles. That means we'll have to look for an old Model T. Can you name these cars? T-Bird? Valiant? Cuda? Plymouth? Don't know. It's an alley cat. So, rat rods, it can be anything. Nope, not away. That wouldn't be World War I. This is one of the new additions to the Map Museum. This is a MiG. This, believe it or not, is still in active use throughout the world. speaking to one of the directors at the Math Museum. His son is in the armed forces, and he says he's seen these in the air. They're very difficult to see. They're stealthy, they're small, very fast. This MiG was a Korean and Vietnam just adjacent to the airport.
You get to where you're going in a hurry. Hurry, hurry, now it's coming. Can't you hear the rails go humming? If you should miss the air train, what I do, da da do, da da do. Just keep that rhythm, give it everything you got.